These recordings are uploaded each week, usually the next morning. I upload them to YouTube. If you just go to there's a link in the emails I send out to our YouTube page, and then you can see all the recordings. There's a lot of them from years past, even when we used to go to Crystal Lake Central High School and do them in person before we started doing the Zoom calls here. But there's a lot of stuff out there. All right, so this is game management 101. So this is we'll talk through this. I have quite a few videos, so I'm going to go through this, rather quickly. But this is what you need to do, kind of leading up to the game, and then what you do, some of the managerial stuff that you do during the game, and then things that you would do after the game. Just some best practice stuff. Um, I'm going to try to talk about what you do with a partner and without a partner, because some of that stuff, like going over pregame with your partner on what you're going to do on rotations, is not something you do when you work by yourself, right? But there is, there's some to it where you'll adjust and do other things when you do work by yourself. So we'll try to cover both of those things, but just some kind of good practice stuff to do. Now that you're, especially if you're working your baseball for the first time, you get there and it's like, now what, right? And like, now what do I do? So that's kind of what this presentation's um, kind of going for. And then let me real quick get the chat pulled up. I always lose it here. So people can ask questions. There it is. All right. All right. Before you arrive at the field, right? This is could be, this is a couple days before you start umpiring, before you actually work your game. This goes in a cycle, so these are kind of things you should do all the time, and kind of as if you're working games, you know, 3 times a week or every day, a couple days out, you should be looking at this stuff. Um, Check your schedule. Okay, where are you going? Um, where does this team play? Um, if you're going to Elgin High School for a game, know where they play, know where their freshman team plays. Um, I pick a school where I don't know where, I think they both play on campus, but you can confirm that stuff. If the information is easier now to find than it ever has been, you can even look at some of the aerial satellite images. But know that if you're going to Woodstock High School, right, the varsity doesn't play on campus. They play at Emerson Park, right? So you can go, you can look at their schedule. It usually says what field they're on. A lot of times they'll have directions to it. We do have some of that information on our website as well, but just know where you're going and make sure that you're in the right place. So look at who you're working with if you are working with somebody, right? Um, Pull up on Google Maps and scope out where you should park, like what's a good place, or ask somebody that's been there before, where should you park. Um, Also, you should if you have a partner for your game, you should contact them. That's just a quick text, email, whatever, a couple days before. If I'm working with Tim Gray, right, we're at Huntley High School, right, text them and say, hey, I'll be there. Your game's at 4:30. I'll be there at 3:30. I'm gonna park by the tennis courts, and let's wear black uniforms today, right? Um, plate versus bases is a good thing as well. Those are, mean, sometimes it's a that's a little bit of a massage, because like I say, most of the guys will want to work the plate um, every single game. Like I want to work the plate every single time, right? But there's something to it. Like if a newer umpire comes to me and says, hey, I want to work the plate, I'll give it to you, right? If Linforth comes to me and says that he wants to work the plate, I'm going to make him work the bases. And it's just kind of just those things where there's some kind of game to it. A lot of times, if you work with a guy multiple times, you'll switch off. Some at some point, some of the games they'll Rafi or Jeff will assign who's working the plate. That's very rare. But sometimes there's history between the teams, and certain guys they want certain guys to work it, and but most of the time it's up to the two guys working the game. Or Linforth's already messaging me on the side. I already heard first person's feelings hurt tonight. We'll see. We'll go for the record. All right, where to meet is a big thing. Um, you always want to park away from the crazy people, right? And that can be hard because there's crazy people everywhere, right? If you guys you've heard my rants so far about hockey, but baseball, your locker room is in the public space, right? So park, it's a little bit farther walk, but park somewhere else, or park, if there's a little like Honeyniga High School, right? There's two. Um, most people will park by the behind the football field, right? There's parking and there's a strip of parking, but you park there, every person that's attending the game is walking by you, right? So there's a little parking lot out in left field. It's a safer place to park. Kind of wait. You can time you get stretched out and you get away from some people, so you're not put in a situation where there could be trouble, right? It's a little it's not like you're good. It's not going to happen a lot, but there's times where there's going to be the crazy dad that gives you a pot shot on the way by, or they want to talk about something that happened during the game, and you just want to stay away from it. So park away, try to hide a little bit, just so you and your partner can have a little privacy before and after the game. Okay, equipment and dress code. For equipment, like we talked a little bit before we started here, start with the basics, um, and then expand your uniform. If you're going to spend money, um, if you want to buy one, if you want to buy a big purchase at the beginning, the best place to make you most comfortable behind the plate is get a good chest protector, right? You can and there's some places where you can ski, good chest protector, a good mask, or the two. If you're going to spend money when you first start, I think personally that's where I would spend the money at. Places you can cheap out a little bit. In shin guards is one that you don't get hit in the shin a lot, and um, there's some heavy duty shin guards, but even the light duty ones will do. And if you want to skimp a little bit of money and try to save a little money when you start, shin guards is probably the place you can do that. Um, as soon as you put your uniform on, right, you want to look like an umpire and act like an umpire, right? Shining your shoes. This is all the veteran guys do this, right? We clean our shoes in the parking lot. We take 2 steps on the field and they're covered with dust. Um, but those 2 steps, people are seeing you as you walk up. That you taking the job seriously, right? This is a profession to you. You're being professional. And that's something that you do. Uniform clean and pressed. I mean, you don't have to take your clothes to the dry cleaner to make them look good, right? There's ways to do it that you can do that you can do at home. I've never taken my uniform to the dry cleaner, but some guys do, right? Their pants, especially, the shirts are just, they're pretty much just mesh shirts, but the pants, just make sure you're washing them and you're not let them sit in the dryer for a long time. They're not wrinkled. They don't have dirt on them from the day before. Keep the stuff clean, because it shows, right? It shows the people around you that you're taking your job seriously. Um, Creased hats is one you'll see. I think that's kind of been kind of fading away. It used to be a thing. It's kind of it's fading away a little bit, but you can crease your hat across the first air holes at the top. You can get a crease, and you'll see the major league umpires, college umpires that have that. So don't do that until you see somebody else has done it and get a little help with that. Um, but it is something that you can do, and that a lot of umpires do. Okay, what else is in the trunk? Have a spray bottle. Right, you can spray, especially as it gets hotter out. You get salt stains on your hat. You can spray those and make those disappear. A clean rag. I use scrubbing bubbles on my shoes. It takes the dirt off real easily. And you can you can get a pretty good shine just off the scrubbing bubbles. And then use some of the shoe polish. The liquid shoe polish works. If you're really good and want to take the time and actually shine them, and um, you can do that with real shoe polish. Another a quick way is go buy the cheapest hairspray you can find at Walgreens, and that has you'll have your shoe shining like the 80s hair from back in the day. Um, have a chair. Um, you won't realize how hard it is to get dressed and get shoes on and do all the stuff without a chair, right? A lot of times, if you get there an hour before, you're gonna be sitting around talking and pre-gaming. You'll have plenty of time to sit there. So have a chair with you. Um, you have a map because you're going to be in a parking lot where it rained the night before and the ground is wet. So you see in the bottom of this picture, there's I have a little piece of AstroTurf that I use that you can stand on and not stand in dirt or in water. Um, and then you'll find have extras of some stuff. Have an extra set of shoelaces because there's going to be a game at some point in your career where you go to tie your shoes and the shoelace breaks. Make sure you get some shoelaces extra pair to throw in there. Um, there's yeah, I mean other veteran guys. I mean, you put in the chat. I mean, what else do you guys carry with you? So you're ready for the game and be prepared for it. What's something that's kind of a trick for you? Nothing. I covered everything. All right, it's good. Extra indicator. Um, Baby wipes. Yep, stuff to clean. Um, yep, good way to clean your shoes. Yeah, extra rags. I saw somebody, I don't see it anymore, but having your base and plate gear for every game, right? Always have that always bring both, even if you're working the plate. Um, have the bases stuff with you or if you're going to work the bases, bring your plate stuff with, um, because your partner could go down, right? Um, could get hurt, so you get hit by the ball. There's a lot of stuff that gets sick. There's a lot of stuff going on. So you never know if you're going to need both. So I just bring them both with you. Um, yeah, backup pair of glasses, pens and pencils. There's all that stuff is good advice. Um, Rick, what do you mean by a base plug tool? What do you mean by that? Never heard that one. Johnny's just sending me message directly instead of to the group. I love it. Talk about a mock turtleneck. This is 1995 anymore, Johnny. Gotta move on. Lysol spray, yeah, you spray your stuff down because you will stink. Especially once it starts getting warm, you'll start smelling a little bit. Um, yeah, 3x5 index. So, Bill, you want to talk about like what you do with those a little bit? See if he's brave enough to unmute his microphone.
Yeah, sure. So I have special cards that I had made up and then sent to a guy that does my printing for my work. And they're set up with both sides so that when I come up to the play conference, or if I know the coaches before the game, which I often do, I write down the manager's name, visitor and home, and then I have a spot for the catcher right underneath that, so I get the catcher's name. So the rest of the game, I'm calling him by his first name along with the manager. And then I'm taking one of the best things is that, especially in the spring when it's windy and it's cold, is I have my subsections for both the visitors. And so I can just take numbers really quick. And then after the inning ends, I can go to my card if I want and cross off and put anything in the line option. I rarely do that because there's not that many subs, but So I'll just have it on my card so that if, let's say, St. Charles North gives me they're bringing in, they're going, yeah, bringing in Bobby Richardson for Mickey Mantle. I'll be like, well, give me a number. And he goes, well, 3's for 7. So that's all I care about, the number 3 for 7. I'll just put that on that card real fast so it doesn't slow down the game. You're not fishing all around for everybody's standing there and you're trying to get a card. You're on your lineup card where it's flapping in the wind and you can't get written down. So you're looking for your glasses when you're old, so it just takes a lot less time to do that. And then if you want to change on your card between innings, you can go ahead and do that. And then on the back side, I have I record my visits, and if I'm doing a warning, I'll put a warning down. And if there are something weird happens, there's an ejection. I'll take notes on the ejection. Even if I'm the base guy, I bring out a pencil. Oh, the other thing I use is a pencil all the time because if it gets cold, pencils will always work, but sometimes pens don't work. They freeze up on you, or there's a problem. But if you have something, and I take it out on the bases too, because if I got to hear about bringing the tool out. That sounds the base plug tool. That sounds interesting. But anyway, so on the backside, let's say all of a sudden you have a bench is clear, there's a fight, or you're on the bases and your plate guy's getting in an argument. I'll kind of move a little closer until I'm needed, but I'll start writing some things down. Maybe that he'll need to use for his ejection report later. So having those 3x5 cards make it go really smooth, clean, and quick.
Yeah, that substitution trick is something I use too, because especially like the weird time, like even if you have like a blowout game and all of a sudden there's sub after sub after sub after sub, right? It's easier to just pull your card out, right? One dash five, right? And you have all those subs there. So when you go back, in between innings, we want to do it. You don't have to open the card up, find number one, number five, write in one, and then you fold it all back, put it back in your shirt. Like that takes a lot of I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time, but everybody's staring at you, waiting for you to get done. So it feels like you feel the pressure on it. So that is a great trick. We'll talk about lineup cards a little bit in one of these, as we go ahead. But that's a really good trick to have a separate paper of some kind. I know I have Honig's little lineup card holder, and it has something very similar, but on a plastic card that you can write on with a pencil. So there's stuff out there, but yeah, the index cards are a good idea too. Sunglasses. So Vince, that's a good one too. If it's windy out, or um, if you're on the so it's windy out, it's a good way to stop the dust from blowing in your eyes, especially if the wind's blowing in on the plate guy. And then if you're working the bases, most of the fields are designed so the sun will go down. If you're standing in A, behind first base, the sun will go down right over home plate or right over the third base dugout, and you can't see anything for a while as that sun starts going down. So having sunglasses is real important there. One thing I would advise though, if you have your sunglasses, is don't put them on top of your hat, right? When you're not wearing them, take it and put it on your belts, and in the back, just kind of thread it through. Um, it's just one of those professionalism things, right? You're blocking you're blocking your hat, and it looks, the players wear their glasses on the top of their head, on top of their hat. We're professionals. We're going to try not to do that. So I would just put them on the back of your belt when you're not wearing them. Don't wear the sunglasses during the pregame conference. Always take them off so you make eye contact with everybody around. Um, but yeah, sunglasses are definitely a necessity, especially early season games when that sun's low and it gets low in the sky early and it's hard to see. Some of the schools, I think it's Larkin High School, probably has the worst part. Like at one point during those games, I don't know what it was about it. The leaves were around the trees yet, but I actually just started the inning in B because I couldn't see any. All I could see was the sun, and I knew a ball was gonna hit me in the face eventually if I didn't move. So I went out in B, so I wasn't blinded by it. But sunglasses are very important. Yeah, don't ride on a motorcycle. Yeah, especially if it starts raining. We got a link to Amazon. Um, Case of water. Yeah, having water with you and hydrating. Make sure make sure if it's going to be hot out to hydrate the night before. If you start drinking water on the way to the game and at the game, you're behind, right? You're not gonna never gonna catch up when it's hot out. So wear your start hydrating the night before when it's hot. So you're actually hydrated when you wake up and go, and try to avoid the coffee and energy drinks, that kind of thing in the morning, because that those things will dehydrate you. All right, so I still need the story on the base plug thing. Yeah, so the warm fleece, the fleece jacket, umpire jacket is the um, number one innovation in umpire technology, and since I started umpiring, it used to be where you're wearing long underwear and all the clothes you got. I mean, once we got that thing, that is the best invention ever. It keeps you warm, and has a good look to it, and it's waterproof. Those are it's a good thing. Um, so Rick, you actually take that out on the field? Uh, let's see. People getting. Oh, I thought you meant like a gator, like that you drove in. But yeah, the neck things. I know everybody's sick of wearing masks and face shields and stuff, but these things are that one. I think the one that actually goes up over your head and um keeps your whole head core, especially when you're on the bases. It's cold. It gets cold. If the wind's blowing out, is blowing right in your face. Like it's bad. Me personally, I have not worn a jacket. Of course, I haven't worked a ton of games the last few years, but the last 7 or 8 years I umpired, as soon as they came out with a long sleeve umpire shirts, I stopped wearing a jacket behind the plate because I feel I can move and I can stay warm there, but on the bases I am freezing. I wear gloves and everything behind the plate or on the bases, but when you're on the plates, you won't need as much because you're moving your hands. You don't get cold as easily. But on the bases, you take everything you got. All right. Yes, and that's one too is always dress for the end of the game and not the beginning of the game. I don't know how many times I've had it where it's 55 degrees and sunny. At the beginning, it's like, oh, let's wear short sleeves, and by the third inning, the sun went away and it's 45 degrees and you're freezing. So always look at the weather for the end of the game, and not the beginning of the game. All right, all right. We will move on to the next one. The good discussion. This is what I want. You guys go ahead and share your thoughts with. Um, there's a lot of knowledge in this room. So you guys get go ahead and don't be shy. All right, we talked about this already. All right, so detail pregame with your partner. Okay, when you're working with somebody, um, even with somebody you worked with a lot or as a veteran umpire, you should talk through the basic rotations, right? The basic things you're going to do during the game to and just so you're on the same page, right? If anything, it gets your brain going for the game, and it makes sure you and your partner are on the same page. I would say most of the guys do the same things, right? And have the same mechanics, but there are some little tweaks and little things that might be a little different, right? And talking through some of the stuff will bring up other stuff that you remember and just kind of get your brain ready and to make sure you're on the same page. Um, um, and then talk with your partner. I think we talked about this a little bit, where what is your goal for the season? I suggest everybody come up with something, even if something little, um, that it's your goal for the year. Like mine for years, and it probably still would be, is get the first balk, right? That just shows that you're in the game, right? And if you get in, if you remember that and you can get the first balk, you're gonna you're gonna look like you're sharp. You're in. Um, the coaches from St. Charles North are going to yell at you about not calling balks, right? Because if you miss one there, you're going to hear about it, right? But that's my goal, right? If you have another goal, if it's working having a better left-handed batter strike zone, right? If it's let your partner know they can help you and they can give you some feedback at the end of the game. Okay, work together, right? Um, and help each other out. Help each other get better, right? Um, I take my note card out on the bases. Something for somewhat Bill had talked about, right? Is writing situations down and taking notes on stuff. But I'll write down notes about things that I might have missed or things my partner feedback I want to give him um, at the end of the game. It keeps my mind in the game. But have it out there. Take notes. Um, don't do it do it between innings. Between half innings. Don't do it during the game, but have that there just to even um, it could be a journal of what you're doing, right? Just keeps your mind fresh, and you can go back to it and try to get better from it. Um, and then you want to be on the field 15 minutes. I mean, it says 15 minutes here. I think that's a good baseline if everything's going to start right. But with my partner, if we can see the field, right, as soon as um, the visiting team starts taking infield and outfield warmups, that's our cue to go, right? Because then by the time they go through, it's probably about 10 minutes. Gives us time to get up there, um, get the baseballs, check in with the home coach, and then be ready for the pregame conference. So it's gonna be different however far away you're parked and that kind of stuff. But that's a good for me. That's a good cue. We're about 10 minutes ready to. We're 10 minutes from first pitch because you'll see there's a lot of games. There's busing issues. There's a huge bus driver shortage in the country, and there's gonna be times where it's gonna be cutting close to getting to games, and there's traffic and those kind of things. So a lot of times 4:30 doesn't mean 4:30. 4:30 means whenever we're ready. So that's a good. I think that's a good baseline there. All right, so equipment checks. This started as an older presentation, so you don't have to do equipment checks anymore. Okay. Talk with a manager, head coaches, managers. Um, that's a simple check-in. Hey, how you doing? Shake their hands. Get ready for the pregame conference. Um, Once you get to the plate, right? You know, you're going to take the lineup from the home coach, right? So always that's always a courtesy. Take the lineup from the home coach, go through it, and then put it, ask any questions if you have them. Then take the lineup card from the visiting team coach, right? Go through it, um, make sure everything's correct. Make sure if you have any questions on it. I always like to figure out who the DH is, if there's a DH, and who the pitcher is when I'm going through it. Um, be quick with this. Like this whole process of the pregame, uh, the coaches pregame. I mean, it's less than 2 minutes, right? The longest part of this whole thing will be um, the home coach giving you the ground rules. Okay, the rest of it's real quick. It's not time for your stand up routine. It's not time to joke around. I mean, it's light, right? It's not like you don't have to be a hard ass the whole time, right? But the more the the more you say, the more you can say wrong or say something stupid and make yourself look like you're not prepared, right? Um, yeah, go through lineups. Okay, ask the um, ask the home coach to go through the ground rules. Ask questions about the ground rules. Ask the coaches if their players are properly equipped. Right? You wait for a yes. Um, ask your partner if they have any questions. Okay, your partner will say no, right? Because this is the home plate umpire show, unless you completely forgot something, right? That's the only time you should talk as the base umpire here. And then you say, "All right, good luck," and then shake the home coach's hand, shake the visiting coach's hand, and get out of there, right? Um, my personal, this is not the official IHSA interpretation of what you should do at the pregame conference. I know they talk about, I guess the one thing you do have to ask is if there's an AED on site, right? Um, so you say, do you have a trainer on site? Do they have an AED? Ask the other team, are you going to use that? I guess that's part of it you have to do. But don't, I leave out the sportsmanship parts, right? So this is Alan McCormick talking, not the IHSA talking. Um, I don't think I've ever said when I used to say talk about sportsmanship at the pregame meeting. I don't think any coach has ever gone, oh shit, I forgot we have to be good sports today, right? I think it's very much, it's almost like demeaning to say, hey, don't be an asshole today. I think it's kind of how it kind of comes off. Um, if you want to say it, that's fine. My personal preference is they know that already. You don't have to remind them. And I think it comes off as if you're saying that, it comes off like you expect them not to be. So you have to remind them, right? So I suggest to skip that part. If you want to do that, and I'm sure there's 100 other people that think otherwise, but yeah, don't 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 I would leave that part out, right? But again, this is a 2-minute presentation. That's it. Say as little as possible, just the basics and move on. All right, we're gonna skip some of this stuff. Okay, we'll just go through this. We won't talk about the plate stuff. Um,
Hey Al, if you want me to jump on, I can take some of that off if you'd like.
no, I don't want to. This takes a little too much into what we want to do, so I'm just gonna
All
cover a
right,
little
cool.
bit on here. So when you're on the field, hustling is a big deal, right? Um, Even if you're fake hustling, right? There's things that if you like a simple like when you go out to break up the at the mound, like break that up, um, just jogging back to the whole plate. Little things like that, or just getting out of getting a position. It shows and it helps, right? Don't look for friends that during the game, right? You can be friendly, but don't really try to avoid longer conversations, right? Um, with the coaches, with the players, with the scorekeepers, don't ever talk to somebody through the fence. Um, there, Ed Hayes has a good story about this, but um, the people behind the fans, the parents, they can be friendly, they can joke, and they try to have fun. But as soon as you do something they don't like, they're on the other. They're not on your side anymore. So be friendly. Make a quick joke somewhere, but don't try to be friends with anybody on the field. Besides just you and your partner, be friendly, but not over the top, right? Um, don't use a microscope to look for issues, right? There's gonna issues that we're gonna have to cover, right? And things we're gonna have to do. Um, but you don't have to find every little thing, right? So like the term I think is don't pick the booger unless you have to, right? So there's things that are there that you have to get, and there's things that you can leave alone. Um, just try to get the things that you have to get, right? All right. Look at a Bill Vincent reference in here. I forgot about that. Okay. If there's going to be a confrontation with you and the coach during the game, right? Take some time, you know, let the coach come to you. So letting them come to you is going to it's going to give you time to um, collect your thoughts and how the conversation is going to go, right? And what you want to communicate. Remind you what should happen in these confrontations, right? Be a good listener, right? Um, probably what most of our significant others say we need to do is be a good listener. Um, you don't have to say anything, right? Um, don't try to one up a coach. Don't try to step over them. Um, let them you kind of explain things and say what they said. and just wait for a question, right? A question for you is where you can jump in, right? Let's see. So I had a game once where it was I want to say it was a steel plate second, right? The head coach of the team comes out and is something had gone wrong with earlier in the game, and he wasn't happy, and he's just complaining about, he was safe. Like all I heard was he was safe. How'd you miss that? Like just going right. So I just waited. All these stuff. I talk about this stuff in the preseason, so I'm gonna follow the rules, right, and um follow my own advice, right? So I just didn't say anything, right? He's just yelling at me. It's not he's calming me down because I'm staying calm, right? And eventually he just shakes his head and walks away, right? I never said a word, and he went back, right? All right. What am I supposed to say? No, when he says, "Oh, he was safe," like, "Oh no, he was out." Like, where's that going to get you, right? Um, so that helped, and that he went away. Later in the game, he complained to my partner about me not saying anything to him during that time. But ultimately, did what our goal is when a coach comes out, right, is to get him to go away, right, and get them to go back to the dugout and keep the game moving, right. Um, some of the stuff is harder to explain with not in person, but when you're um, talking with a coach, right, and talking with anybody, right, when you're nose to nose, like you're face to face with them, that is very confrontational, right? Um, if you watch a group of five guys talking, right? What should we always get in the shape of a circle, right? Or if a group of people are talking, it's always in a circle, right? Because having a conversation or being conversational with somebody is you're kind of shoulder to shoulder. So if a coach comes out to you and he's here, just open your shoulder, up and your shoulder to shoulder, right? Okay. Nod your head. You use your nonverbal cues. Um, don't get your hands up and get defensive, right? Kind of if you keep your hands down, there's some people you have to talk. I mean, I'm one. You can see my hands going all over the place, right? Um, just try your body language is there, right? And even for that video that's going to be on YouTube of this confrontation, right? Um, try to stay, think of that, right? Like, what's that video going to show if I'm being aggressive, if I'm yelling, I'm, waving my hands, I'm pointing at the coach? Like, those things are confrontational things, and it's only going to make the situation worse. Okay, let the coach finish. Like, don't cut him off. I know it's hard because you have a story to tell about what just happened, but ultimately it's their let them control what the conversation is going to be about. Let them talk. Let them question. As soon as they ask a question, you can answer the question. If they start repeating themselves, that's where you can intervene. But let him finish his thoughts and let him get that out, and then redirect him after that. um, yep. So we just went through that. Okay. And also, we talked about last week a little bit too, is if they're mad, if a coach is mad at you or something, like they're not mad at you personally, they're not mad at Alan McCormick, they're mad at your uniform or you, the call, or your authority, like the authority figure, all those kinds of things. Let it go. Like, don't take it personally, right? Be um, just be courteous and be kind and be um, don't be rude as you're going, and you'll be able to slough it off a little bit, right? Not gonna lie, every time, most of the time when a coach comes out, my heart rate goes up, and I gotta be the ones like, I'm really intentionally going through this stuff. How am I gonna handle this? What are the if it gets heated, um, there's gonna be, you thinking about what are my steps? What am I gonna do? What are the, it's sometimes it's shut up, right? Don't say anything. Just let him talk. That's going on in my head, right? So to let him really force this on you, because it's not natural to do this, right? Natural is, you know like the back and forth, right? But in this, there's no back and forth. It's just it's you're trying to avoid the back and forth. The back and forth is when it's gone to hell, right? And you're gonna have an ejection or some kind of warning or something, right? One part I did want to talk. I kind of skimmed over between innings. Right, home plate umpire should be up the line, be 15, 20 feet up the line. I don't know, with the just outside the dirt circle, an area where you can still communicate with the catcher if you need to on something, or and to the on deck batter. This has changed over the years. You used to want to be on the side of the team that's going out on the field, so there's less people behind you, right? But I think now, um, the college baseball, at least, you're supposed to be on the side of the on deck batter, the offensive team, so you can let them know when it's time to go. But get up 30 feet, whatever the number is, right, wherever the dirt circle is, you're out of the way. So there's zero chance of you getting hit by a pitch, right? But you can count the pitches once they get to three, right? After if it's a returning pitcher, they have five warm up pitches. So after the third, no matter if the catcher knows or not, I go, hey, hey, two more, and I hold up two right to him. I turn around, get that on deck batter's attention. Hey, he's got two more, right? That means he's getting ready so he can go, right? If it's new pitcher, 8 pitches after six, say, hey, two more, let them know so they're ready to go, and that keeps the game moving, right, as you go. Don't get distracted and talking. There's gonna be times when you have pitching changes, those kind of things where it's going to come into play and you're going to get distracted and you're going to miss that stuff. But that's where your partner can help you out. If you're distracted, you have pitching change and there's a couple changes going through and you miss them. As soon as I come back, back focused again and ready to go, I make eye contact with my partner. He usually gives me, he's had five, right? And then he's got three more, then there's two more, then we go. If I'm the base umpire, my plate umpire is going a long time. If it's getting close, if it's two more, like if there's a conference on the mound, it's like, hey guys, there's two more, and then they go back to their positions and we're ready to go. Base guy, as soon as the last out is made, get to the outfield, stand in the outfield grass, usually in behind the second baseman in that area. Um, once they're once there's two pitches left, start again. You see that, or one or two pitches left, start heading back. So you are in position by the time the pitcher's ready to pitch, so that they're not waiting on you. Do your best to not go into the dugouts. This part that I just explained is why I'm not a big fan of bringing a water bottle on the field. At least during the high school game, I know if you're working 6 games on a Saturday when it's 100 degrees, do whatever you need to do to make it through. If you're working a single baseball game, 2-man on a Wednesday night when it's 52 degrees, like I think you can make it through 2 hours without a drink of water. That's just my personal preference, because what that water bottle does, right, is takes you to a spot on the field where if you're keeping it if it's in the dugouts, there's confrontation that could happen. If it's by the fence, now there's fans that are close. I really think you can make it through one game in the spring without a water bottle. So that's Alan McCormick talking. I think it's going to help you out because you're not because then the worst is you have the game ends on some kind of controversy or some kind of heatedness, or somebody's upset, right? And you want to get the hell out of there and just get off the field and go. But now your partner's chasing down his Yeti behind the backstop, right? It causes more confrontation. I think causes some more. It causes you to not do the best practice of what umpiring is. So consider that. Again, there's exceptions and there's things that need to do, but that for me that's a pet peeve with the water bottle. Yeah, if you're going to take a water bottle, take one of the cheap plastic ones that you can leave there. But I'm sure if there's the coaches love to have their umpires leave their bottle of water on their field when they're cleaning up at the end of the game. But yeah, if you have to take a water bottle, take a plastic disposable one. So if you have to get the hell out of there, do that. But I'd recommend not. Again, in the spring, working a single game on a Tuesday night. that I would suggest not taking a water bottle on the field. All right. All right. So now, so once the game's over, right? That we're just talking about, find your partner and get out, right? Um, don't look for friends. Um, don't get in the handshake line, right? Um, it is drop the baseballs, kind of give them towards the head coach, or if he's somewhere else, just kind of toss him towards the dugout. Say, hey, if he says waves, hey, nice game. If you happen to get in a spot where he reaches out, shake your hand, shake his hand, but keep moving, right? Um, it drives me nuts with hockey that the referees are made to police the handshake line, um, which causes problems as it is. Um, Me personally, my if I controlled the baseball universe, we would just not do handshake lines. I mean, just get the hell out of there. All it does is cause confrontation at the end. Um, then you guys can go ahead and blow it up and call me an idiot, and I'm ruining the game. I'm sure Jeff is typing that as we speak. But if it was my world and I was the commissioner of baseball, I'd get rid of the handshake lines. Um, Talk to your partner. Don't be in such a hurry to get out of there that you don't break down what just happened. Right. Be honest. Right. Be detailed. Talk about if your partner had something that you didn't understand. It's like, hey, what was this, or what did you see on this? Um, like if you had a breakdown at some point, or you had some weird play that you didn't get together on, you kind of went like, what could be done differently, or just take feedback on it and be willing to take the feedback. Don't be the yeah but guy, right? I've seen a lot of newer umpires that had potential, right? They were good, but they needed to still build their game and get better. And you make a suggestion like, yeah, but then they have an excuse, and yeah, but we have an excuse for this. Like, don't make the excuses. Like, just take the feedback, right? Every time I work a game, right? If I'm working the plate, I ask my partner how the zone look, right? Um, I've done that with guys that, um, honestly, I don't care what they think about what my strike zone was. Not to be cocky about it, um, but I still do it, right? Because then maybe there is something, right? Maybe I felt like I'm missing the corner, the knee pitch on the corner, right? Maybe you never know if somebody can see something that you missed, right? Be honest with yourself about your plate, like about your game. If you had a bad game on the plate, own it and try to do better. And like even have the post game with yourself. If you're working by yourself, um, just break down, like, honestly, like, think about what you had. If you're not sure, like, why am I missing this pitch? Or like, same thing, missing the knee pitch on the corner. Why, right? And you think about where your stance is at. Where you think about what the catcher's doing. Those kind of things. How can you make adjustments to not miss that anymore? This is where you can call a mentor, or call somebody that that's I'm like, what am I doing wrong, and they can give you some tips on what they've done to fix those things in the past. Okay. um you can clean your equipment. You can start cleaning your shoes, it's getting the dirt off of them, and um have it ready to go, so it's clean for the next day. Do an inventory of what your uniform looks like. Is it going to last another day, or you need to wash it that night? um if you have if there is a coach, player, fan, somebody that confronts you in the parking lot, okay, um, the best thing to do is get in your car, right, and get the hell out of there, right, and go change in a different parking lot, and call your partner, and we'll go down the street in this parking lot and change there. Um, don't confront the parents, right? Um, Again, you cannot reason with crazy, and somebody that approaches an umpire angrily in the parking lot after a game is not of the mindset to be reasoned with. So don't even try, and just get out, and let's leave the vicinity. Don't feed into it anymore, and just go. If you feel threatened, call the police. And just, hey, I'm official at this game, and somebody confronted me, and explain. If they push you or shove you or hits your car, any goofy, who knows what they're going to do. We've had umpires with get their cars keyed. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, or just or drive home, right? I mean, with your, don't finish changing. That's what I was going for. Just get the hell out of there. All right. Yeah, we've talked about this, right? But the rules, know the rules, but the rules are not the most important thing. Um, and this just the preparation, the more you prepare, just you guys being here, listening to me just talk to myself in my basement, about baseball and interacting here and getting more information shows that you're preparing for the season. You guys are doing more um, than I was even able to, back in the day when I first started, because there weren't things like this. The more you talk baseball, the more you think about it, the more you are prepared. We talked about last week about being organized. Those things will help you become a better umpire and have a more successful season. So, all right, we got a question here. Yeah, so if the players come to fist bump you, this is a symptom from basketball where everybody's fist bumping everybody, and they're coming instead of just being introduced, they come to like, yes, like I'm not going to stop and let the whole team fist bump me on the way out, right? But if a couple get you, right? It's me. I'm going to keep moving. I'm not going to stop and let it happen. But if they want to, they come fist bump you. It's fine, right? Just don't get caught where there's 40 players from both teams shaking your hand at the end of the game, because it's kind of crazy. But if you do, a kid wants a fist bump, yeah, that's fine. Just try to get out of there if you can. Um, yeah, I see that a lot in hockey too. Like, because they have to watch the handshake line now. All the coaches are shaking hands and all the players are coming fist bumping and shaking their hand, and like it's fine when it goes good. It's just the worst case scenario. Part of my brain just scares me. Right? There's more. That's why I want to get it read. If we didn't have the handshake lines, like none of those things can happen. So, all right, that's all we're gonna do on that one. That's as far as I wanted to go in that presentation. So we're gonna stop the share here. And we're gonna share. I got some videos. Yeah, they're not your friend. So, which is funny, is because I've heard horror story. I've never seen it, luckily, but um, I've heard horror stories of even guys that are umpires, like active current FVB umpires, that are watching their kids, um, play baseball, and are screaming and yelling at the umpire at the end of the game, right? Or they come to if I was there, watching my son play baseball, and I know the two guys umpiring, like I'll go talk to them, right? But you know what? If you are that person and you are like using your position as an umpire to complain or bitch or tell them that that's not okay. Like I've seen that. I wouldn't say a lot, but I've seen it enough where it can be bad. And I wouldn't. So even if everybody is there, whenever you're watching your kids, it's really hard to be honest with yourself, um, and it's really easy to put the blinders on. We'll put it that way. So make sure, even if there's an umpire in the stands, like that's a fan of the game, like just be cordial. Hey, how you doing? And move on, right? Because it's because you're not in a spot where, especially if that person is tend to be on the angrier side, like it can go bad, right? So the only friend you have in the game is your partner, and I would just keep that rule of thumb, even if the person that is watching the game. even if they're an umpire. So, all right, this first one, this first play, it's gonna be a play at the plate, and we're looking if there's looking to see if there's obstruction on this play. So there's gonna be end up being a play at the plate if this is the right one. Yeah. So it should all come right to the. All right. So what is the call here? Let me find the chat again. In the chat, you got obstruction or interference or nothing or out. I guess out or obstruction. What is the okay? We're getting some explanation. So why is this obstruction? I guess like what did the catcher do wrong to make this obstruction? All right, so pretty, yeah. So the catcher cannot, with when the catcher doesn't have the ball, he cannot block access to the plates without the ball. So let's see, we get stopper. So he's right there, right? Because he's in the batter's box. There's nowhere for this runner to go and get access to the plate that doesn't involve going through the catcher's personal space, right? So ultimately, that's why this one's obstruction. Okay. If he is, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the catcher is in fair territory here, then it would not be because he's giving the runner a path to the back side of the home plate. So, um, yeah, so if he's in fair territory, I think he's okay here. But since he's standing and got foul territory, directly in front of the plate, then he's out. So yeah, this mask is illegal. In NFHS rules. I'm not sure if this is a high school game or not. But yeah, he cannot have the two. The mask has to be NOXI certified, right? And NOXI doesn't certify two-piece masks, so that's why this one is illegal. So it's got to have ear protection on it too, which is part of their certification. So 100% obstruction on this play is a good call. All right, so now the umpire, I guess, what do you do if you have obstruction, right? So you got to play at the plate. Everybody's expecting you to give a safer announce, right? What do you do? How do you make this call? Like, what are the steps of making this call? Let me unmute and tell me. Like, what would you do if you had you're gonna call obstruction at the home plate on a play? All right, so I'm seeing so obstruction is a lot of people. I've seen a few people say call time first. Is that the right move? Is that the right? Okay. So yeah, so don't call time first, right? So we still have another runner, right? So if that happens, just like any other time you have obstruction, you point. That's obstruction, right? And point at it, right? Let the play die. Now you come up, time, right? Kill it. That's obstruction. Point at the catcher, point at the runner, you're safe. Okay. In yeah, high school, that's how you call this one high school. Okay. College rules and pro rules are a little different. But when you see this, because there's another runner, right? It's time it's that's obstruction. As soon as the play stops, then you call time, that's obstruction, point at the runner, you're safe. Okay. Then be ready to explain it to the coach when he comes out. All right. Next one is a soft.
Hey,
One other question.
hey, Al.
Go ahead.
Hey, there was a statement in the chat that said that we would return the runner back to second base.
Ooh.
So my question would be is why do you think we would return the runner back to second base?
I don't think we would. Like, where's he at when the obstruction? One, obstruction is a delay dead ball, right? Because it's a delay dead ball, you let the play out. So there's no killing it ahead of time. And obstruction is a the violation on the defense, right? So why would you award the defense for doing something wrong? Right? That runner, if you watch, right, he's 2/3 of the way, right? So let the play finish. That runner gets the they could, so if he's only halfway and that obstruction happens, he can still throw out R2 going into third. So yeah, R2 would stay at R2 advances, and then you award the runner home, and yeah, he would not go back to second base on that. I did miss that. Thanks for pointing that out.
I got two questions to ask here. So,
Sure.
For the first question I have is, you mentioned you point that's obstruction, but let's just say like the runner from second rounds 30 comes home and you make that play too. How would you necessarily call that? Would you say like the second runner is out, but the first runner is safe for obstruction, something like that?
Yeah. Yes, it's going to be a little harder to point at the parties and all that stuff. Those are things to help you, kind of make more sense of it. But it would be if that first runner's you're going to end up explaining it to the coach, right? You can say that was obstruction, he's safe. Like it, and then if you have a second runner is out, or you can even go try to think of what actually would happen, because it's kind of a it's kind of an out there thing that would happen. But yeah, if I had an out on the second runner, I would go, you're out. If the other runner's there, you are safe. And then you're just gonna have to explain it to everybody because they're not gonna understand it. But yeah, it would be, make sure they know which runner is out, so which one is safe in that situation if you had two plays.
Okay, so then my second question then is, if you notice where the field umpire is going, like he's obviously coming towards third base, should he also be looking at the play too, since he knows that's coming? Or is he just should he just pay more attention to the runner at third?
No, yeah, you can definitely go up there. You can definitely look, because there's nothing happening on that runner. I mean, all you have to do is make sure he touches the base, right? So you don't have to stare at him doing it, right? You take a peek at home. That's where, like, if this runner would have blown up the catcher, right? Then you can help on that. Nothing can happen on a play without the ball besides some obstruction stuff, right? But on this play, just like you did, he's moving down, and you just keep your eye on the ball and watch that play at the plate. And if your partner would need help for something, or it turns into a storm, or goes off the rail, then you're there to help them out. But yeah, definitely keep your eyes. There's times you're going to take your eyes off the ball because your responsibilities you have, but on this play, there's no reason to stare down the play at third when it's not happening.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You also don't have any responsibility on that play, right? You're just there in case your partner wants to come get help. Cool. Anything else on this one?
Say something real quick, Alan. So if
Go ahead,
you're
Bill.
in like mostly high school games where you don't have huge stadium crowds, if you come out loud with your obstruction calls, generally the play will stop itself. So you're not going to have the runners, once they hear obstruction, they don't really know what to do. They'll generally always stop. So you typically won't have the guy coming around third because you've yelled out that's obstruction and pointed at the obstructing player. That'll generally, everything stops.
Yeah, scare them with the rules. Like, just if they call a balk, right? You want them to not pitch, right? That's your goal. That's your goal with a balk, is to get the pitcher to not throw the ball. Because I mean, high school it's dead anyway. But if they do throw it and then somebody hits it and then everybody starts circling the bases, then you have to explain why none of that mattered. right? But yeah, that's, try to get it to stop by making the call. So then there's less that could go wrong. All right, next play. This is a softball play. This one you might have seen. This was all over the news last week. Okay, so a little backdrop on this. Okay, it's raining here, right? So, the defensive team has complained about the ball being wet and the field being unplayable. And the pitcher is struggling with their control. Okay. Umpires have let the game go, right? And this is where the confrontation comes, right? So ultimately, we're going to watch it through, right? And then this is ultimately what you're going to do when shit hits the fan. Like, what's going to happen, and how you're going to handle multiple confrontations at the same time is what comes out of this. All right, so right here, this is the head coach for California. Okay, she comes out and asks the players to get together, or the umpires to get together, about the playability of the field. So it was a quick conversation and decided to keep going. All right, what do we have right here? So anybody else notice this one? Fake tag, right? What's penalty for a fake tag? Okay, one, it's obstruction, right? And then it's a warning on the team that did the fake tag. Right.
Alan, I don't know about obstruction, but I'll tell you what, that field looks as dry as a bone.
All right. So here. So now notice, who is this? Who is this person?
Assistant coach.
Assistant coach. What do assistant coach? What's their job of what's the job of the assistant coach during the game?
Zero.
Their job is to coach the players, right? So they're not allowed to argue plays, right? So obviously, so this coach comes out to you, even the first time, right? Okay, if they leave the dugout and get to you arguing, what is the only thing you can do to them? Only thing you should do to them. It's an ejection, right? In high school, right? What happens if an assistant coach leaves their position to argue a call? What is the penalty for that? Okay, you eject the coach. What else happens? What's the minimum? There's something else besides the coach ejection that is by rule is a penalty. Okay, if this happened in a high school game, this is an assistant coach that comes and leaves their position to argue a call. At minimum, the head coach is restricted to the dugout. Okay, so not the assistant coach, the head coach is restricted. If the act by the assistant coach is bad enough, you can eject the head coach too. But I don't know if I'd go that far. But if by some reason I can't imagine happened the assistant coach did, you could eject the head coach too. So All right, so we'll keep going on this. Okay, she's been ejected already. We didn't see it in the video. Okay. Now we're gonna watch. All right, so now you can kind of see in the background. Look to the right of the screen here by the ESPN Plus. Actually, nope, that was the wrong spot. Never mind. So now we have some kind of interaction at home plates, right? With the on deck batter and somebody else. And we have players coming from the dugout, right? That don't have gloves on. So we're assuming this player here, I don't know if, again, I don't know if you can see my arrow or pointer or not, but we got players that are not playing in the game out on the field arguing. Okay, what happens to them if this happens in your game?
Start recording numbers, they're gone.
Yep. Yeah, any player that comes on the field, okay, that's not like a situation like this happens, anybody that's not supposed to be on the field comes out in the field and participates in this, again, you don't have to jump in the middle, right? You try to break it up as much as you can, but don't, if two players start throwing punches at each other, I'm not getting in the middle of it, right? Well, that's the coaches can deal with that and break it up, right? Get back, take your go kart out and start recording numbers down, right? Hopefully you never see something like this, but you never know, right? And, a player comes out of the dugout, they are and participates, they're ejected. Right, I think that's it here. Right. But again, don't get the umpires in this. They kind of, it seems like they got, if you can, don't get so like there's a lot of, we talk a lot of all the stuff about getting an angle and seeing stuff. You can kind of get it here too, right? Don't get so tight into the situation that you don't see the big picture of what's going on, right? Especially if you see people start coming off the benches and it gets real big and heated, right? If there's 5 people from this side and 5 people from this team all wanted to get into a fight, right? You by yourself are not going to break that up, right? You can try, use your voice, all that kind of stuff, right? That could, so just be aware of that. Like ultimately you're not a hockey linesman that is their job is expected to break a fight up, right? That's not our job.
Never touch a single kid on that field.
Yes,
Let them go. If they want to go, that is not your job. Just stand back and write down numbers.
Yep.
With today's day of video, everything, you grab a kid, you grab his arm, and then another kid punches that kid and he can't defend himself because you've got his arm. You're part of it now.
Yep. There's like even people are getting sued for even less of that stuff, right? You don't need to be paranoid about it, right? About what you're doing on a field, about liability and getting sued and all that stuff. But like, there's big, like things like this are easy to. The only time I've ever had, the one time I had a bench cooling brawl in a game was when I was working the Burn Camp charity softball tournaments, right? And this is 16-inch, no glove softball, and a guy was on second base. He rounded third and blew up the catcher with no equipment on, and they beat the crap out of him. And the first thing I did was walk out of the dugout and leave. Right. So, like you can literally just back up, stay away from it, and just take notes on it. There's plenty of people from the dugouts and stuff that can break it up, right? But ultimately, don't get involved in it.
Hey, Alan, can we talk about should have the game been called? Should we have stopped the game because of the rain?
That's, I guess.
Yeah, so I want to comment on that too. I'm glad Mike brought it up because I'm not going to second guess these umpires were not there or anything, but kind of put yourself in a bad position. So this happens to us when we got lightning, when we got wet baseball. Remember, safety rule is the most important rule, especially with high school players and college players. They're not pro. So, you could see that first pitch where it got away from her. The catcher's complaining when it goes to the backstop, like it's so wet. She can't throw the pitch. I can't catch it. And now you got a runner at third. So, I mean, you kind of do the math and you go like, okay, if this ball gets away again, I got a runner at third. This runner at third's coming home. That's sort of on me. Why not stop it and wait and see what happens from there?
Yeah, and you also have to look at the play, the counterpoint on that, Bill, right? It's the last inning, bottom of the last inning. They've been okay, right? Um, they have a 1-run lead, and now they're making an excuse to why they can't play, right? So, without being there, right? Just like what you said, like if what you said in those things all make sense, and that those are things you can watch, but you also could this pitcher pitch just fine until all of a sudden she got wild, right? So there's a lot of things that go into it. But gamesman, they can use that as gamesmanship too. Like you'll see, like with the daylight, right? Daylight, the home team is up going in the top of the seventh. They give up 2 runs and now they give up the lead. And now all of a sudden they're going to the mounds and they're slowing the game down because it's getting dark and they're hoping that you'll call it. So there's some gamesmanship involved in there too. So take the whole big picture into it, right? Um, but yeah, but what the players are doing, like for us with baseball, if they can't stand in the batter's box or they can't, pitch from the rubber without sliding, like those are our, kind of our cues to you use all the cues and you see everything you say and then decide what you're going to do, right? But yeah, there's a lot to take in, but take in all of it, and then we can decide on which way we go with the game.
I would just suggest err on the side of caution.
Yeah. But yeah, the gamesmanship stuff too, though. Like it's, I don't know. I guess I'm a curmudgeon where they're just, suck it up and go, right? Stop making excuses. But yeah,
So
the
I was doing a game. It was the second game of a double, and the home team was winning. And the last pitcher, the closer, was definitely milking it, saying the mound wasn't accurate. He wanted to fill in the hole that's in front of the step and all that shit. And I didn't let it go. I was like, I know that he was trying to play me, trying to get this game called. They were up, trying to kill the game. And I let the game go. Nothing happened. And it got back to my assigner, and I got my ass chewed for not calling that game, because if something happened and that pitcher does slip because the field wasn't the hole wasn't filled in and I didn't give him the time to ground keep and all that bullshit, then it would be on me. And he told me never to do that again. So that sticks in my mind.
Yeah. One of the worst experiences I ever had on a baseball field had something to do with this too. It was a junior college game. It was very lopsided. Forget the name of the school, but they're like a city school. And it seemed like they were never good, at least when I was, working college ball, that were bad. And I want to say it was at College of Lake County. And it's like similar like this, like it was with the run rule. Like we had a 10-run, it was like 12-0, and then it started raining and the pitcher started getting wild. And they gave up 3 runs, and then we stopped it so they could fix the field. And then we ended up in like a half an hour delay. It was the first game of a doubleheader. Then they needed like an hour in between the games to get the field ready for the second game. And then the second game ended up being like 14-12. And I was there like 7 hours, I think, for a doubleheader. So That's the memories I get every time I see rain on a baseball field. Was that day.
Keep in mind, they're waiting for you to call the game, right? They're not going to say, "Hey, are we done? Is it bad?" They're waiting for you. So you should be having conversations with your partner on the field like, "Hey, Bill, how are you doing out there? How's the field? What do you think?" And then start that conversation. And when they see you guys getting together, that's kind of give them the cue that it's coming. But they're waiting for you to make that call.
Yep. Yeah. Same thing with darkness. You'll run into this. Calling for the game for darkness is really hard, right? Um, so like the players tell you the story too on that. You know, if they're not reacting quickly, your partner can help you with that. You're talking between innings and um, ultimately, if there's some reason to stop the game, right? Do it at the time where it needs to happen, right? If it's the field's not playable, if it's too dark to play, call it at that time. Um, I've seen guys get in trouble where we're losing daylight, it's getting dark. Um, they say, "All right, we're playing the bottom half, and then we're done," right? And it's the bottom of the sixth instead of the seventh, and bottom of the sixth goes really quick. The clouds clear up a little bit, it gets brighter out, but now they back themselves in the corner saying, "Hey, nope, we can't play anymore," right? So you just call, I guess, not the right term is call it when, or with darkness or the play field's unplayable. When it becomes unplayable, or when it becomes too dark to play, that's when you call it. Not try to get an extra inning in or give an ultimatum. We're going to be done after this half inning. Like actually do it when it needs to happen, not ahead of time. Okay. Michael, do you have a question? Hey, Michael, Scanlon, can you mute your microphone, please?
User mute their mic.
There we go. Got it. All right. This one's going to come quick on this play. What do you got on this play? We'll watch it here one more time. Let me catch that. Ultimately, do you have anything on the elbow on this? Or do you have obstruction? What do you got on that one?
Nothing.
Anybody else in the chat if you want? All right, we got one obstruction. Runner out. I think we're okay on the obstruction, right?
Is this similar to like how basketball is with charges, how they gotta like look for the arm coming out in order to make it like malicious contact? Or
Yeah, I mean, it has to be some intent, right? There can be contact and be hard contact and you know, and yeah, contact that causes injury and not be malicious contact, right? So yeah, I would look as if you're. I don't think there's anything here. I think there's the catcher was good when he caught the ball. And he moved into it after he caught it, and then I think the contact's incidental, right? It's the elbow to the head, which is bad, but ends up not being I don't think it's enough to be malicious contact on that. I think to have malicious contact, you're going to have more of a chicken wing out, elbow out, hit him in the head, more intent to injure, if you will. But yeah, this is like it's 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 another one where there is contact. But not all contact is even if it's hard contact is malicious. So I would say there's nothing here besides an out. All right, let's get out of this one. All right, we'll do one more. Let's see what I want to do. This one, okay, this one's hard to see. Ultimately, we're looking at third base. Okay, in the third base area, there's gonna be a ground ball that way. And we can give me what you have on this one. Everybody see that? We'll watch it one more time. All right, ball gets past third baseman, hits the runner. You got two options on it. Do you have kill the play, runners out, or do we have live and in play? Tell me what you got.
That ball touched the third baseman. Did he get a glove on that?
No, we'll just say no for the sake of argument.
Right through his legs without touching it. And the shortstop is we got to watch the shortstop, everybody.
I'd say yeah, or hops over his glove or doesn't touch. It ultimately doesn't touch third baseman. So what do we got? We got mostly. So that question so you think does the shortstop have a play? Okay. Ultimately, if the shortstop doesn't have a play, that ball is in live and in play, and we move on. Hitting the runner doesn't matter, right? If the shortstop had a play in the ball, then we'd have it out on the runner. Which I would say on this one, I would say live ball. Shortstop wasn't in position to make a play. He may have had a diving play at it, right? But not a realist, not a normal play at it. So I would say runner, the ball is live, ball's in play, and runner safe at first base.
You got to sort of interfere to interfere, and this really had nothing to do with the outcome of the play. So let it stand.
And this is basically anyone's call, correct? If someone, like either one of them sees it, obviously.
Yeah. Yes, it would be base umpire more than the plate umpire on this. The base umpire, it looks like this is small field, so they're on the outside. But yeah, this would be more the base umpire's call. That it would be the third baseman, the plate umpire. I think anybody else. I had this play. I actually had exact play happen once in a 3-man crew. And it was Jim Maska was working third base when I was at first, and he had this call, same exact thing. Had a long discussion with the head coach, and yeah, that's the only time I've ever seen that. But it was that exact same play.
Did you say if the shortstop had a play, then the runner was out?
Yes,
But it got past the third baseman.
if another infielder still has a play on the ball, still able to play the ball, then it's still interference on the runner.
Even though it got past the third baseman.
Yep. If the shortstop's in position to make a play, then it's still interference.
And runner's not out even though it hit him.
The runner's not out. So okay, so if the shortstop is not in a spot, so the shortstop doesn't have a play, right? Ball gets past the third baseman and hits him just like this, then the ball's live, the runner's safe. The runner is still running. He's still a runner, he's not out. If the shortstop has a play on the ball and the ball hits the runner, then the runner is out. Ball is dead. Batter runner goes to first base. If that makes sense. I think I was getting confused at least on those, but yeah, those are the two possibilities on this play on that call.
I guess I thought if it got past one of the infielders and it hits the runner, it's live. The third
Well,
baseman doesn't have to touch it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, touching the ball doesn't matter in this play. But yeah, but if there's another fielder that's in a spot to make a play, then it still be interference on that runner. So there's a caveat in the rule that I don't know if it exactly says that, but that at least the that's a caveat in the rule that that it still would be the runner still can interfere with the ball if another fielder has a play on it. So all right, so that's all I got tonight. So we're past 8:40. So I just want to say FVB lost a brother this week. Or last at the end of last week. John Hopshy, I don't a lot of you probably know who he is. He was big in our JVB program and really big part of our association for the last 10 years or so. His visitation information is on our Facebook page, and I sent it out in an email. If you're going to go Friday nights, make sure that you wear either FVB gear or your umpire shirt, and to honor John. That's how he'd want it to be. And if you do go on Saturday as well, don't dress up. John was not a dress up guy, so you can wear umpire gear again, or you don't have to dress up to go. So it's very hard. And this last week we lost another brother earlier last week too, Johnny Harris. He's been gone. He's been down in Florida for a couple years, but another guy that both those guys, they were always happy, always doing always happy to be umpiring, always willing to help, always made your day better when you saw him. So it's a tough week and a half for FVB. So yeah, so just want to get that out there in case anybody didn't hear or see the emails or stuff on Facebook. But couple of big losses for us this last couple of weeks. So all right, guys, I will be on next Tuesday. I know I at one point said I wasn't going to be, but our board meeting is on Monday, not Tuesday. So we will next Tuesday, and have a great night. Timmy, do you got something to say? Do you want to say something?
Yeah. Did you plug the garage sale or anything like that?
Go ahead.
Hey guys, just wanted to let you know that the clinic, obviously Al probably mentioned it, you've seen it. It's coming up on the 2nd, and then the following week after that, we're gonna have the garage sale at my house in Huntley. Saturday the 9th, we're gonna have for new members only. We're gonna have a big selection of equipment for you guys to get started off with, and at reasonable prices, and so on and so forth. And then Sunday, we'll have the garage sale again, but that'll be open for everybody. And then times will be from 9 to 11:30 on both days. And then, of course, on Saturday or Sunday, we're going to have training, field training at the Huntley High School field house at noon. Obviously, if the weather's nice, I'm sure they'll let us out on the field, but we for surely have the field house secured for inside climate control. So I'd like to see everybody out there that's interested. I know Rafi's been sending around a sheet. The dates for the garage sale again are the 9th and 10th of March, and that'll be from 9 to about 11:30. If you got any questions, just reach out to me through Facebook, or if you look my number up and shoot me a message. There's always a good deal to be had. Thanks, Al.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Hey Al, can you run me through that last situation again? I just want to clarify the ruling behind